Getting in here. Yeah, let's get some good audio checks here and see if we got greetings, everyone. See if we got good greetings and audio and all that good stuff on the guitar. Looks good for the stream here. Maybe we'll play a song. Yeah, let's play a song here. I don't know which one to play. I haven't been playing my tunes lately. How about this? Pretty fun. One more. One more. One more. Yeah, fun stuff with original music. There you have it. I'm playing some tunes on my secondary board. Actually, this is my third. This is the third board. Let's just see if we can get a shot here of what we got going on. Camera, free camera, watch out. Watch out, moving the situation. There you have a VP4 right there, a Sir Woodshed compressor, a Wampler bell, and a Wampler gearbox. And on the satellite board is a tuner, a wah, and the Octafuzz. Thanks to my good friend Mark Gamble for finding another G&I pedal for me to put on my satellite board. Now, I'm not really not using my big boards because they are at, you guessed it, XTS. I'm going to turn this secondary camera off while we hang. Boop. Yeah. So you can see that sweet Ferrari red in the background. Tasty treats. Yeah, there's a company in Nashville called Exactone Solutions. And it's my boys, Greg, Barry, Squad, Eric, Barry, Greg, in no particular order of love. Love them all equally. XTS is kind of like the East Coast, the Nashville version of Rack Systems or the Bradshaw kind of thing. They build everybody's rigs for them. And I have been ready to update some things on my main rigs for a while. One was the volume pedal. There's a company called A3 that makes an amazing volume pedal. And I did a shootout on my Patreon. And for you guys that are interested in that, we do a weekly live masterclass. Talk about gear, tone, technique, everything. And I did a live shootout with it versus all the other volume pedals that I had. And it was just crazy how much more transparent it was. It just really felt like there wasn't a lot in the signal chain. So I wanted to swap that out. Another thing to me that's kind of showing its age as far as user interface is the Strymon Timeline, Mobius, those big ones. Specifically the Mobius, I started realizing I couldn't get in there and edit as fast as I wanted to. And I've been begging Fractal for years. Just any chance I talk to Cliff and Matt, I was like, when are we going to make Just Effects? When are we going to make them just an effects pedal? I need it. Give it to me. So they finally made the VP4, and that's what started this process on the small board. I thought it might be nice to pull the Mobius off and put a VP4 on. Allowing the VP4 to handle an EQ. Like I don't need an EQ pedal anymore because the VP4's got a graphic EQ in it. Still keeping my Halo and my Strymon Reverb on there. It's the Blue Sky because those are tactile. I can just reach down and go, yeah, more or less reverb. And it doesn't eat up a block in the VP4 for something else that I might want to have, right? Like a flanger or a rotary or a pitch shifter or any of that good stuff. So updating all of these things at the same time. And I thought it might be neat to just kind of hang out here this week and talk about pedals, talk about why I use pedals currently instead of big high gain amps when I'm doing the Andy tone, like the A Wood sound. Currently is a pedal based rig and not a high gain amp. I'd also like to talk about the must haves, what you gotta have, what I've gotta have, things that are really important to me as a hired gun, and equipment, especially pedals, that's really important to me as the solo artist, right? You've got like Andy sideman, and then you've got like Andy main man. And those are two different kind of statements and two different kind of things. Very much like our hang is Andy in the ball cap versus in the hoodie and stuff versus Andy in the suit and the aviators and the cowboy hats and stuff like that. That's a totally different guy, you know, and I feel like it's important for me personally to have almost that character that I step into when I do my solo stuff. It's a total statement thing that I think I can just, without inhibition, like I could step into that character. And I think some of that kind of came from doing Skank Banger and dressing up in costumes for that. And obviously, you know, when you're a hired gun for big artists, they want you to wear what they want you to wear for the look and the image. And there's something to that, right? It's like, I know if I'm just sitting here in the hoodie and a t-shirt, shout out to, look at this. Shout out to my friends at Guitar Sanctuary. They hooked me up with those volume pedals. It has to be two different Andys, like for me, because if I'm just the dude in the t-shirt and the hoodie, there's an element of me that's not in that headspace of original statement and like an artist. And that may seem kind of cheesy, and it may not, but it's good for me. Like, I don't know what helps anybody else, but if you guys can go out on stage and rock in a t-shirt and it's cool, yeah, that's great. For me, it's like it's easier to step into that zone of another kind of character, another side of myself to really get into that space. And I think it's common in the music industry and the art industry. I mean, you know, everything from the extreme side of it to Kiss, right? To, you know, Nuno Betancourt wearing the Indian stuff and the feathers hanging off. And Steve Morse is a great example. We had him at Woodshed. And when Steve was hanging out, he was wearing the t-shirts and stuff. But when it was time to get on stage and make the donuts and be Steve Morse, brother, it was the sleeveless with the wolf and the, you know, Native Americans and the eagles and all this kind. It's like, it was Steve Morse, like that Steve Morse. You know what I mean? So I think I'm not the only one that kind of sees it this way. I mean, you can see it in Bonamassa, right? And, you know, Lord knows that I don't think Zakk Wylde sits around as, you know, goes to McDonald's in a kilt. Maybe he does. I don't know. But, you know, it seems like there's that side of it where it's like, you know, you're putting on the uniform to go do the work, putting on a business suit to take care of business. Little side topic there. But that guy, that version of me, has a different tonal approach than the hired gun. And the hired gun and the Skank Banger, you know, all these different things that I do and tackle, the session player, they all have different tools and necessities and things like that. First and foremost, this is a Q&A. As always, our live streams kind of are fluid and become whatever you guys want them to be. But I thought it might be nice just to start off with like, hey, what are the must-haves? I see somebody here going, I just saw it. Somebody said something about must-have reverbs and delays. Where was that? I just saw it. Scrolling back up. Come on, big money, no whammies. I'm looking in the chat. There it is. That's from LBARJ, L-Barge. Must-haves, reverb and delays. Funny thing about that, on a sound like what I use for my stuff, I don't really require a lot of reverb because I'm using the delay. Even in the VP4, it's using the modeling of the Andy Timmons Halo. There's my dry signal. I'm just going to roll in the mix with an expression pedal. There it is. it like that, reverb kind of starts manifesting itself naturally. You know, maybe play that. Like that sounds like reverb, but it's not. It's just a bunch of delay. It's just all kind of fluttering and doing its thing. So for me, the must-have delay / reverb unit, I could kind of get it done with just a halo. And I think if there's a reverb that I like, I know there's a million great ones out there. There's a million inside the Fractal. It's got this thing called Nimbo Stratus that's really killer. It's not it. I don't know where it's at or how to get there. Let's see. Let's see if we can get in there like this. Yeah, there it is. Let's check it out. Oh, sorry. Really pretty reverb that I use that for ballads. Like with the heel down on the expression pedal, there's nothing and it rolls up. And it starts doing its thing. Really nice, right? Here where I had this stuff. Okay. But in general, I could just do what I need to do with that halo setting, rolling it in as I need it. You know, kind of a good thing. So if it's going to be in a pedal format and not in a multi-effect unit like a VP4, I really love the Strymon Blue Sky because I love the tactile approach of the knobs not being something that I have to get into menus to navigate. For me, like that like getting into a menu is like, I don't like that for a live situation. It's fine for a studio because I've got all the time in the world. But for a live situation, I'd be like, okay, we're playing outside. I need more reverb because there is none. Or, you know, for whatever reason, so I can just reach down and just hit the mix knob on the. So the Blue Sky to me is really a great reverb pedal. In general, the halo kind of does what I need to do. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of hello there's. Yeah, I like that. I feel like I need to go, you know. What is it? Right? Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, that kind of thing. So there's my hello there's for you. What up? What up? Everyone's here. Candyman says back to Austin. Brother, I need to go back and relearn it. I don't even know the chord voicings that I used on that thing. I haven't played it in so long. Cheers to Slippets for the $10 in the old beer bucket. I appreciate you putting that in the tip. Candyman says the lick you play before the pedal tone lick and live to back to Austin is tasty. I've got it on repeat, trying to figure it out this morning, but that one is tough. Candyman, I need to go back and look at whatever I did. I was probably just shooting from the hip, improvising on the live version. Yeah, I need to go back and check out whatever it is. Yeah. TS-808, Analog Chorus, Echoplex, Boss 6 Band. All in the loop except the TS. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an easy way to get it done. I love an EQ pedal. When real estate gets tight, if I've got a unit like the VP4, I can do my EQ in the VP4, which is nice. Fort Worth says, all in the loop. I thought Andy liked to run his effects all in front of the amp. Maybe I'm thinking just his trace board. Yeah, so this is a great point right here of contingency. This is for Fort Worth, Texan. If I'm using a loud, clean amp, like the way that I would use a Bella or a Fender Twin or a Lone Star, I don't have to worry about the loop because everything's clean. It's just loud and clean. So in that aspect, I can run everything in the front. One of the things that I do that's I think is clever that the XTS guys have got for me is they can do a split, can split out of the unit and go to a stereo unit if I want to play through 2 amplifiers, or I could go into the effects loops or whatever. So it's like they're basically, let's just look at it like this. You've got the front pedals, like let's say this is the dirt box, right? And let's say that this is a delay. Let's say this is dirt right here, and this is delay right here. They've got a split where all my dirt boxes go out into the front of the amp, and then the send can come back and go hit all my delays. So if I want to run it in the loop, I can. So a great example of that would be if I want to use a Bogner or a diesel or something like that with some crazy big horsepower on the preamp side, then I can totally do that, which is good. You know, I think flexibility and having boards that are modular in that way as far as signal routing is really worth it. And that's a big reason why I have a company build my boards instead of me doing it myself. Now, I know a lot of you guys are super talented and can build your own rigs. I know Jay is that kind of guy with your own sends, and some of you guys are really great engineers. I just don't have that skill set nor that patience. So I just take it to XTS and they go, hey, we can make this fit on this board, or we can't make this fit, or are you willing to give anything up, or you know, what do we, you know, at that point we have our debates and get into it. Yeah, let's go right here. Let's keep the questions going. Rebecca says 7 months with a CD and in love with it. Thank you, Rebecca. I really appreciate that. I'm excited to get the vinyls out to you guys. We did I could have made the vinyls super simple and just sent them out, but we did some really fun stuff where the vinyl is actually orange, the actual vinyl itself, and the artwork is really great. And, you know, just went through a lot of different details of how to make it really special. So Wesley is saying, hey, Andy, when using a high gain amplifier, do you run your lead tone through the pedals or gain from the amp with a boost? If so, why? Awesome tone, by the way. Wesley, right now I'm using a Sir SL68 that's set clean, and all of the gain is coming from the Wampler gearbox. That's the distortion that I'm using. It's all the gain. So, and it's got more than I'd ever need. So you raise the question though, if I'm using a high gain amp. So immediately my brain switches to like Skankbanger, because I use a 5153, the 100 watt EVH 5153 in that band, and it's just, you know, it's set to nuclear overload. So in that instance, I use my delays and time-based effects in the loop, and I don't use any boosts with that amp. It's got more than I would ever need. There is something to be said about hitting something like a dual rectifier with a tube screamer or an old boost like that. Like, that makes a thing that's really good, and a lot of metal guys can get really great sounds by doing that. However, I'd like to have an amplifier where that's not required to sound awesome. Like that diesel over there, just plug into it, go to work. You know what I mean? I like that. If I'm going to use the amplifier for the distortion, I don't want to have to help it out. That's just me. Again, there is something to be said about a dual rec with a boost on it. It can be a thing that you're after, but at that point, I'm just like, well, I would just why don't we just play the Uberschall? You know, it's like, why don't we just get the Friedman and just go to work? You know, that's just my approach. I'm never an absolute scenario. Obviously, I will quote Obi-Wan, only a Sith deals in absolutes. Okay, let's dig in here. Fell off the chair the first time I heard Shoot the Sun Down, grab the guitar and start figuring out immediately. Oh man, that's amazing. Thank you. It's a really special song for me, and I really love playing it. It's probably my favorite song on the record. Super Dude says, man, don't make him give up guitar playing. Tone is amazing as usual. Cheers. Again, it's Robert. I found that if I just have a little bit of sauce, like a little bit of delay, here's the core tone with no pedals. Get that B string in tune. So if I have that core tone, the next thing I'm going to put on top is the Woodshed compressor from Sir. That's like MSG for your tone. No matter where you have your core tone set, the Woodshed compressor makes it better. So here's without it. Here's with it. Again, without it. With it. It just takes every frequency I want to hear and sets it forward. And it's not an EQ thing. It's actually got a ratio knob on it. Get ratioed, you know. And it just makes everything sound better. Yeah. So the next thing I will do is have two options of drive. One being the Wampler Bell, and it's kind of a low to medium thing. It's without it. It's with it. One more time. And now without the Sir Woodshed compressor, again, to me, it's the culmination of everything working together. This is without the compressor. Sounds good, but with the compressor. It just makes everything better. Except my bad notes. Without it. With it. Kind of makes everything better. That's option number one. Option number two, go back to the clean sound. Here's the gearbox for the gain. And one of the things I'm doing with VP4 as a coloring option, just kind of like a texture thing of salt and pepper. I've got a parametric EQ, scooping and adding a couple of things. This is without it, kind of a more Eric Johnson thing. with the EQ, it gets it more that Lukather. Scooping a little bit out, kind of make it a little more, I don't know, just rock. But I like it without it a lot. But yeah, I mean, there's really, it's really just kind of an option thing of those three styles of gain stack. It's the Wampler Bell, which sounds like this. And without the EQ, it sounds real kind of ZZ Top-ish, which I like. And with the EQ, it's kind of more of an LA thing. Yeah. You know. And then the gearbox. Yeah, so those are like the main colors to me when I'm looking at it. And that's why I like kind of an amp that just sounds big and round, so I can have the options on the front end and have more, I can be more of a dictator on what the color of the song will be. Like on Shoot the Sun Down, I was using a little less of the EQ, and on Storms and Sparrows, I was using a little more of the EQ. So yeah. Oh, my chat went away. There it goes. Okay, it's coming back. Come back here. Okay. Do you have the side button on the bell in or out? My bell doesn't have a button on the side. I must have an older one. I must have an older bell. It doesn't have a button. Andy, get the gearbox back in the UK because I cannot find one. Joey is saying the UK. Is it possible to order it from like a Sweetwater or AMS? Do they do international shipping? Candyman is saying the reverb is from the Halo. Actually, it's delay, but yes, it's the Halo. That's it. Keith Krantz with a great question here. He's saying, what's your pedalboard setup for Skank Banger? If you type in Andy Wood Van Halen Wet Dry Wet Board, it'll come up with the setup. But in general, Skank Banger is the 5153 with only a EVH STE 3000 in the loop. And then everything else is out front. The flanger, EVH flanger, EVH wah, EVH phaser. Can you sense a theme in the Skank Banger rig? It's basically the Van Halen playbook. So yeah. Any chance of getting the Woodshed compressor modeled into the Fractal VP4? That's actually a great question. That's a Matt question. So I don't know. I could ask Matt if he would be interested in doing that. Ben says, I like how the compressors bring out the legato lines even more. Even just turn it on and off while you're doing a lick can make a difference. Yeah, that's for sure. It makes a nice sharp, it's just like an articulation thing. It's Andy, I know you don't use a comp on your lead tone. I've been trying to do the same. There's a certain tactile under my fingers when I don't use one. That's a volume thing, Dustin. So if you're playing at a speaking volume, go ahead and leave the compressor on. But when you get loud, I have a basic rule of thumb where it's like when it's loud, I need less low end. I need less gain because the amp is working harder and creating more. Dustin says, what frequencies are you messing with on the Para EQ? Usually something around 1.5. It's kind of a duck, a narrow duck around at 1.5. Sometimes I'll bump 3.5 or 4, and it'll be real narrow. And sometimes I'll bump something around 400, real narrow. But that's kind of what the EQ and the fractal is doing. Ben saying, I don't feel the need on the higher gain. Yeah, there's a negative return where it's like at some point you get so much gain that the compression's already there. That's a great point. So Vi Sachatrucci says the Rev tilt boost, one pedal I use on every board. It's super quick, easy to kick the front end of anything. Tilt the EQ one way or the other. It's great and simple for my simple brain. It really is great, man. I love I think that's just a brilliantly designed pedal. Marco says, Andy, on live gigs, do you use mic cabs? Always great music to play in. Thank you. Marco, I actually have gotten to where I'm running a hybrid setup. Basically, it's like I'll take whatever tube amp that I want to use. I always use closed back cabinets these days. I just kind of prefer it. Short of it being a 90s country gig where I take the little deluxe and do the thing. But outside of that, I use closed back cabinets. And as I come out of the head, I go into like a universal audio aux or a SUR reactive load. And I'll send that to front of house or to my in-ears. And then I'll come back and hit the cabinet. There'll be no attenuation though. I'll leave it rocking. Tara says, I saw the Pantheon on your larger boards. How do you use it? I use it as a middle gain thing. I use it for the Junktown tone. So like my larger boards, instead of this core board, this is like the babyest setup. This has clean, somewhere, and gearbox. Like that's the 3 that I need. Clean, something, and gearbox. On the bigger boards, I have clean, something, crunch, lead, and that's the crunch is the Pantheon. So it's more than a blues driver, and it's less than the high gain pedals like a gearbox or an at pedal. Joey Dunno says, Andy, when you play with flats, what do you typically go for the gain? Because those songs aren't super gained out. You got to understand, Joey, when I was out with flats in 15 and 16 before what I'm doing with Gary since 2020, 15 and 16 technology was drastically different. So I was using big ass controllers that were gigantic through like a huge refrigerator rack with RJMs, because just stuff from a tech standpoint wasn't where it is now. You could do so much with so much smaller of a footprint these days. With the middle gain stuff in 2015, I was leaning heavy into the second channel of the Diesel Herbert in the minus mode. That was really something I used a lot of. In the current situation, when I tour with Gary from Flats and we do his solo stuff, I use, a lot of that crunch sound. So I'll have my cleans, I'll have my more kind of sound, and then I'll have that crunch kind of sound. That's the Pantheon kind of thing, which is really, really great. Papaw Jam says the Luke is on point, really great. I mean, God, it's Luke, baby. He's a huge influence, that kind of sound. Chicago says, is anyone here using the Bogner pedals? I can tell you this, Andre Nieri gets a great sound with the Bogner pedals, and he uses like the Bogner Blue on the Ecstasy, and he has that gain all the way up and then hits that with a pedal, and it sounds really great. Carson says it could, but the dynamics don't really translate to an IR. I have good luck with the UA aux because I can control more with the faders on it than a simple IR. So that's why I use the aux. Trapper Creeper, great name, by the way. I love that name. Recently got a 5-band EQ pedal. I like it more than the G7. You don't need the 7 bands. That's great, man. You find the thing that works for you and rock it. I like the 7-band. That's just me, though. Joey says, I also blame you, Andy, for my obsession with country and country rock. I got to get that style down and add it to the playing. For sure, there's some really, really hot playing in country music, and it's really fun to get on and jam. Carson says, is it Andersons or Andertons, like Lee Anderton in the UK will have stock in July. Yeah. The Boss has something special about it. Feels like a drive pedal, so it can, yeah. You kick it up a lot. Trapper Keeper is also saying Chris Stapleton is the current country artist I found that's worth listening to. Let's deviate here because I want to jump in on Creeper. Brother, let me share one with you. Zach Top. Incredible. Monster player. Monster guitar player. And really great country music. So Zach Top has my full endorsement. I'm such a fan of that kid. And obviously Brad Paisley, if you want some hot guitar playing. Brad's always going to have some picking going on, which is nice. Andertons, yeah. Crispy high fives going out to Ohio, to my man Anthony out there. Gerald is saying, would the gearbox work well for a doom metal setup? I'm using a clone right now for a slightly dirty boost to a very loud stereo amp. So the gearbox has a clone on one side of it, so you wouldn't be losing that, which is nice. And then you have the side that's just like maxed out with gain. Texan says Rascal tour with Taylor. No, that was before me. The Taylor tour was around 2013 or so, 12. Fort Worth Texan says, recommend me Expression pedal. Mission Engineering makes great stuff. I like Mission. However, the Fractal Expression pedal is my favorite because it's got a little notch in it. So I recommend the Fractal Expression pedal. It's actually what I'm using right now. It's my favorite one. So I use the mini ones. I don't really need a huge pedal, you know. Tyler says, Andy, I find myself having to crank levels on my pedals to match the levels of the amp and different pedals. It's clipping hard. Do you run into this? Any advice? So Ray Tyler Baca is asking about level and gain and how you, not gain like distortion, but like level gain. So the first thing I would do is unplug everything. Unplug every pedal and go straight into the amp and get a reference for where that is, what that unity is. Now start introducing pedals one at a time. Set them to unity and see where those notches are on the pedals. Because what's probably happening, if I had to guess, is something is requiring more level and you're giving, it's like a house of cards. And so you got to be really careful with that. Specifically, that very reason is why I use amp switchers, or not amp switchers, pedal looping switchers like the Gig Rig. That's another thing I'm having done to the new touring boards is the plates that sit on top of the Gig Rigs. They've got a new plate that's got like LED readouts. Really great, easy to see. I'm excited about that. Really excited to get those on there so I can see them under really dark stage lights. Normally dark stage lights, I can't see anything. Especially when you get the haze and stuff going and like it's the first song. You got in-ears in and you can't see anything on the black stage. I'm like, dear God, I hope I'm on the right button. You know what I mean? I hope the right combination of stuff is on. Because when you're using a looping scenario, all of the pedals are on. So everything just looks on. And you need to be on the right pedal. So with the new lit plates, I'll be able to see that on a dark stage. So I highly recommend Gig Rig, and I highly recommend the Atom because it's really small. Yeah. Creeper says, Zach Top, I have nothing against country. Stapleton just seems to sound soulful. He does, man, for sure. You're going to love Zach Top. You're going to really love it. I think the song that you should start with is I Never Lie. JSH is saying you can blame me for the Tele obsession. I mean, dude, this is the truth. This is a weapon of truth and justice from a more civilized age before the dark times, before the empire. Teles always sound good and punchy, and they always look good on stage. You can take a Tele to a jazz gig. You can take a Tele to a Foo Fighters gig. You can take a Tele to a metal gig. Jim Root, from Slipknot plays Teles. Teles always look right. They always look good. You're never going to have somebody shoot you a dirty look for playing a Tele. It's just, they're the truth. Patil says, what are my thoughts on EQ pedals? Have you used one on your board? And if yes, which ones do you like? I like the Boss GE7, the gray one that they've made forever. And XTS makes a modded version of it that's really great, and I like it a lot. So yeah, and I have them on my boards. Brett McReynolds says, Andy, do you have to make any pedal adjustments when switching between different styles of guitars, or do you tend to find a happy medium with settings? Yeah, I think that's a great question, Brett. I actually don't change things per guitar because I want each guitar to have its own character. That's the reason I'm switching guitars. You know, does that make sense? Like, why are you going to play a Firebird or a Explorer and try to make it have the exact same output as a Strat or vice versa? It's like, let the guitars be the characters that they are and own the sound that they are. Connor says, have you heard Zach Top's new song? I have. I've been listening to that album nonstop. Been listening to the new singles nonstops. Yes. Wayne is in the house. My main man Wayne. It says, do you use 2 expression pedal bells? One for the Halo and one for the VP4. On this main rig, I have no Halo. Sorry. Let me phrase it. On this baby rig, there is no Halo. I'm using the Halo emulation in the VP4. So I'm only using one expression pedal. In general, I only use one expression pedal for that, and I just let everything else be what it needs to be. Coming on down. Jay just chimes in with tapping lick, but hit the Brent setting. Oh, like if I'm playing live or something? Yeah, it's like, woo, yeah. Creeper says he's pushing the amp with pedals similar to Book, stacking low gain drives into the higher gain. I like an OCD into a clean amp for an edge of breakup tone and stack it with a Rat after for more. Yeah, that's exactly how I do business too. I use a big clean amp with the gearbox being my high gain. It sounds great. Session Gold is saying, I'm thinking of selling my 80s inspired pedal board. So Eventide, Triceracourus, Micro Pitch, Collider, and some stuff. And going with an FM3. I'm going for rack tones. What's your take on this, Andy? Thanks. Session Gold, are you using the board only for effects? As in, are you using amps, or do you need amp modeling? My answer depends on either avenue. If you only need effects, get the VP4. You don't need the FM3, you don't need the FM9. Get the VP4. If you need 8 effects at the same time, get two VP4s. Like, that's it. That's the easiest thing on the planet. Now, if you want modeling or you want to have access to everything under the sun, I would splurge and get the FM9. The FM3 sits at an awkward point for me personally. I think it works for a lot of guys, which is great. For me, it's not. I like to have more buttons. I like to have more things that I can access. Travis is saying, I've always been a big fan of getting amp from the gain from the amp using a light drive, maybe like a Klon or BB or Dream Boost. For our current favorites of Mythos. Yeah, shout out to Mythos. Zach is great. I love that dude. I love what he's about. And there is no wrong way. There's nothing wrong with taking an amp like that Bogner Shiva and putting a boost in front of it and letting it eat. That's a great sound. And, you know, it's really going to do the trick. It's going to sound great. There's no wrong way to the recipe. I have to stress that. But it's going to be what's the most modular for me that I could do that. So like this board that I'm playing through right now, I could do that. I could send the 3 pedals, the gearbox, the bell, and the Woodshed out to the front of the amp. I could have the VP4 in the loop and be good to go. Yeah. Fat Thor says this is a super telly. Here's the... Okay, hold up. Time out. What year in the 70s did Fender make the telly with humbuckers? What year was that? What was the first year of that? Where it had 2 humbuckers in it and the big guard. Was it 71? right? It wasn't a super telly then. It was just a telly with humbuckers, right? 72? Yeah, 72. I'm not bringing new stuff to the table, baby. This setup's been around since 72, you know? Now, is it a super telly? I think any custom shop telly is a super telly, right? I was over at Carter last week, and I went in and I played some old $70,000, $80,000 tellies. And they're hard to play. You know, they have round fretboard radiuses. They're hard to play physically. So when you play James Tyler or an Anderson or a Sir, it can look like the most vintage telly on the planet, but because it's easy to play, it's a super telly. So Thor, you're my guy, and I do appreciate you. But was the super telly a thing in 72? Nah, not really. It's just a Fender. It was a telly with humbuckers. They had a name for it. This was before the thin lines. I can't remember what they called it back then. But yeah, let's hit some more questions. Sean Murphy saying 2 drives of the Wampler Tumbleless into a Dumble style and to my deluxe Reverb. Yes, I'm sure a lot of these rigs sound great. I need to do the roast my rig thing and y'all turn them in. Maybe that's something I'll offer just to Patreon members. Patreon guys, would you be interested in the rate my rig type of thing only on Patreon? Is that something you guys would be into? The Tele Deluxe, that's what they called it, the Tele Deluxe. Same with thin lines, yeah. A trim though, no, I mean, like, no. Tele with a whammy bar, I mean, a Bigsby. They've had Bigsby's on Tellies forever. Like, I'm going to play red team with you guys. I'm going to be devil's advocate. I'm not the first guy to put the wang bar on the telly. And Jimmy Page, if I'm not mistaken, played a 24 fret telly that was a baritone. Let's look that up. I don't know if it was a Fender brand. 24 fret telly Page. Let's see if we got that. Jimmy Page. I think his was a baritone though, but we could find out. It's not the Dragon. It's not the Dragon. It's the other one. I used to have that picture saved because I showed it to John and I was like, if Jimmy Page can do this, then we can do this. I can't find it right now when I need it. But yeah, I mean, you know, Bigsby, let's do first year Bigsby telly. What was the first wang bar on a Bigsby telly? What was the first year of that? 68, boys. Come on. 68. Had telly with tremolo bar in 68. Yeah. Fort Worth, Dustin. I'm looking at y'all right in the face. 1968 would be the first time on Google for the telly with a wang bar, courtesy of Bigsby. And then the humbuckers came in 72. James Norton is saying 71. So there might be some discrepancies there. And the Tele Custom, if we look at just the neck humbucker. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The Deluxe, yeah. Yep. Trapper Creeper is saying, I'm not a big fan of digital distortion, but using clean amp models and captures with pedals almost as good as my analog subs. I mean, we're getting really close, you know. Candyman says, you're tempted to get an A Wood signature, but I can't get away from the Gibson. Just get the A Wood signature. They might still have one in stock at Open Chord in Knoxville. I think he had a black and a silver still in stock. And the silver is amazing. That's the color this is kind of like the Z06 Corvette silver. Really close to that. All right, I'm checking some more. Just purchased a Nash Telly today. Yeah, those are great guitars for sure. Marlon says, I'm purchased the gearbox, loving it. Does it pair well with Bluesbreaker style? But to me, the gearbox is like, it doesn't need to work with anybody else. You just use your other gains and then you switch to the gearbox. It's not really a thing that I use to stack. Cheers, Lucas. Lucas snagged an A Wood model. Yeah, and El Barge, Ibarge, or however I'm mispronouncing the name, is saying Bigsby's been around forever. Yeah, man, 68. So Fort Worth, Texas says Neil Sean used customized Les Pauls with locking tuners and trims. Yeah, Floyd's, right? Telly with a Bigsby, yeah, 1968. That's been a thing for a long time, man, a long time. Lucas is saying, I recently got a Charvel Model 7 Telly. I love the reverse headstock. Yeah, they're cool. Need to get the soon-to-be limited edition Behringer Centaurs. Yeah, El Bar J. Yeah. So the Centaur is now in litigation, right? They got the lawsuit came down on them from Klon. So that's a thing. If anybody's interested in that. I don't really keep up with that side of the industry and that side of the game. I'm not a collector per se. I do have some cool things that are collection type pieces, but I'm not a collector. Those are things that I use and I play. Speaking of pedals, I've got a really fun demo coming out for the Steel Panther pedal, and I'm not going to say the name on here because we have to censor it. But this is the Platinum Pocket Melter, and super 80s, great high gain thing. It's kind of funny because the gain just is always high gain. You just turn it down, it doesn't really go away. It's pretty funny. Sean Murphy says my buddy is a Neil Sean wannabe Major Journey tribute band. Even has Sean's Luthier, Megas, Floyd, Rose, Les Pauls, PRS, single cut with Sustaining X, everything, exact copy of Sean. Yeah, amazing. Jay Smory is saying, do you still have the BB Plus double switch pedal? I think I gave that to somebody. I might have it, but I think I gave it to somebody. Might be John Cooper. Maybe gave it to John Cooper. Maybe gave it to Ben. I gave it to somebody. Yeah. So Fort Worth is got us. He says, tell us about A Wood Sir, the fret size, the shape of the neck, if you have time. I do. I actually have a video from Sweetwater. If you type in Sweetwater Andy Wood signature model, it'll come up. But in general, it's the neck shape is like an asymmetrical shape. So as you roll your thumb down, it gets thinner. And it's thicker up on the shoulder, on the bass side. The fretboard radius is a 16 because I like the way that feels. And there's no tummy cuts or arm contours because I actually like the way a Telly feels. It feels normal to me. I play mandolin and I play Martins. So having more wood just feels correct to me. And the humbuckers are the Woodbucker. It's an A2 magnet, Alnico 2 magnet, which I think sounds really great. And there's a recessed trim, lock and tuners, roasted maple neck, swamp ash body, and the whiskey barrel finishes actually have no paint. That's just the hand torching. And we offer right now, you can get the whiskey barrel, you can get the black with the silver guard, or you can get the Corvette silver color with the black, and that's going to be limited. And then you have the 2 anniversary models that I don't know. I think they're all sold out, but I'm not sure. We only did 100 in the orange and 100 in the red. Yeah, for a 10-year anniversary. Yeah. Earl Coley is saying, how would you compare the Wampler Bell and the exotic RC booster? I'm looking for the clean sizzle boost. Probably the RC booster if you want more sizzle. The Bell is basically a Noble's ODR1. You know, it's that kind of thing with a bass control. Creeper says, no collection is complete until you have at least 2 Klons, a Dumble, and a double neck Gibson. Let me tell you right now, Creeper. Let me tell you right now. If I had a wine cherry double neck SG, you would know it. I want that guitar so bad I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. I want the Stairway to Heaven. Song remains the same. Give it to me. Give it to me right now. Give me that guitar. Love it. El Bar J, Swamp Ash I love with maple. Swamp Ash just sounds good to me. It's punchy, just immediate. I love it. Couple more questions here before we call it. Wesley's saying, I want to get the Woodshed Tele pickups for my Telecaster build. Alder body and a wing and neck. What's your thoughts, Andy? I think they're going to sound great. I'll actually play it for you real quick so you can hear it. I don't name a lot of my guitars, but I did name these two. This is the single coil version. This is Sam, and that is Sol, and it's short for Sam Whiskey and King Solomon. That's the two guitars. And that my dad had two German shepherds named Sol and Sam, and so I figured that's these guitars, Sol and Sam. So here comes the single coils. Yeah, you can't beat that right there with a stick. Can't be done. Sounds really great. Here comes the Wampler bell on the same tone. A little less gain. Here's the neck. And then with some gain. Time on that. I haven't played that in a day or two. This is the Junktown guitar right here. Probably this tone though. Yeah, probably less gain though. I'll probably cut it on the gearbox with less gain. Probably right there. Yeah, probably that's it. I think I cut it on the red one though. I think the red guitar is the junk guitar. I love Tellies though, man. They just sound right to me. Yeah, and then back to the, you know, the humbucker ride, just where it's like that. Ride that thing. Right. Gotta tell it is. In the name of God. Yeah, we could try Truth in the Lie. I haven't played it in forever. It's going to be a sloppy mess. whatever. Had some fun. Got in there and had some fun, right? It's a fun solo section to play with. I've been kind of listening to Nick Johnson's licks also. I can't do those slippery ones. That's kind of more Bonamassa way. Something. Not terrible. Not great. Whatever. You ask for it. Might as well. I actually have a Gerald saying you'd be spot on playing Cliffs of Dover. I mean, nobody's on Cliffs of Dover. But there's a video of me doing a tone shootout. This amp up here, this Super Lead used to belong to Eric Johnson. And I did a tone thing, decoding the Eric Johnson tone, right? Yeah. And played Cliffs on there. Cheers to the guys throwing a little bit of money in the tip jar. Without you guys, I can't continue to do these live streams. So I appreciate the support, and it's not lost on me that you guys are spending your American dollar papers to throw it my way so I can keep doing these. I mean, really, it's been interesting to watch the community and you guys want stuff that I do, because it's like, I don't know, man. I like to play guitar, and to see people actually asking for things and requesting things, I want to be able to supply it. And so I appreciate you guys for throwing money at the situation to keep it going. And if that's something you're into, there's like 600 or 700 posts, maybe even more. I can't remember. It's a lot. It's over on patreon.com. There's just hundreds of videos. That's basically like a diary from starting back in 2020 and till to now, till today. That's just got so much content over there. That's patreon.com /Andy Wood Music. So there's lessons and tablatures. I actually just uploaded all the tabs to my arrangement of Right Now. You know, the Van Halen. Right. I just uploaded all those tabs in guitar profile and PDF profile. That's all at patreon.com /Andy Wood Music. And then if you're interested in backing tracks, tone packs for your Axe effects and fractal stuff, transcriptions to my tunes, and tour dates, hoodies, hats, all that kind of good stuff is at andywoodmusic.com. You can also get the vinyl to the new record there, and CDs, etc. So that's my shameless plug for everything. And, you know, can't wait to see you guys in September at the Woodshed Guitar Experience. Going to be a blast this year. We've got Dan Huff, Paul Gilbert, Trey Hensley, Mark Letary, just really stellar situation that we've got going on out there, and I always look forward to it. And I think we just have a couple of slots left, so there's not a lot of room left. If you're interested in coming, I'll throw you a live stream code for AWOOD 200, and there are some new options this year that we haven't had in the past. I think it's already live on there, but there's a camping option. So if you just want to bring a tent and you're an outdoorsman, you're an outdoorsy type of person, you can come and camp on property and take part in all the goodies that we have out there at the Woodshed, which is amazing. So yeah, that's kind of the immediate future. Yeah, Chuck's chiming in there with the links. Joey says, I'm about to buy your tabs. Thanks, Joey. That's at andywoodmusic.com if you're trying to buy the transcriptions. So make sure you hit the right.com. Thanks for all the beer money, guys. You know, I really appreciate you. Seriously. Without you, I can't keep this thing going, and I want to keep it going and keep doing these types of things. I'm going to give you guys the pedal demo next on the Steel Panther pedal. Then we have an octave shootout, and then I have a tube driver shootout, and then I have the Chase Bliss Brothers pedal. And I've mentioned this before, but I don't shame others in how they do their business. But I don't do any paid pedal demo things. Manufacturers can't pay me to make a pedal. I think I did 1 or 2 when I first started 5 years ago. And I just think for me personally, it's easier to do my reviews of stuff when I'm not being paid to say it's great, just for me personally. And I can really give my honest opinions. And so the reason I'm saying that is essentially a thank you for these monetary donations, because this compensates for me telling manufacturers no, because manufacturers, I'm going to be completely transparent. Manufacturers offer me to demo their stuff, and they'll say, hey, we'll pay you if you'll demo it and say this. And I'm just like, I can't. Like, what if I don't like it? You know, am I just supposed to lie to people? I just can't do that. So, all the pedal demos and the gear demos that you see, they're just my opinions. And I like it when people agree, and I like it when people disagree, because it is genuinely just my thoughts. So yeah, when you see things that I have partnered with, like the guitar or the gearbox or the Woodshed compressor, these are things that I use. They're things that I had my fingers in designing, because it solved the problems that I thought existed. So yeah, you know, that's how I do business, and I really appreciate the gratitude, and we will continue on this path. I have a little queue of things. They're all in boxes over here of things that I'm going to do, that I actually, reached out and said, hey, can I borrow this? This one belongs to Owen Barry. I wanted to do an Octavia shootout. So it's like, I go about it in a different way, and I'm friends with Mike Starr and Styx. I'll use their stage names, not the real names, in Panther. And they actually just asked me as a bro. They're like, man, will you just play this and tell us what you think? I was like, yeah. And so I got it, and I was like, man, I'll make a video of it. I like it. It's cool. And so that's the thing. And so these donations, they're not lost on me. And I really, really appreciate you guys and the support for the channel. And I hope that if there's anything that you want to see from me, to just mention it, and especially you Woodshed Patreon members, you guys get first right of refusal of things that you want. So that's it. That's today's hang. That's the spiel, and a little bit of heartfelt gratitude on the end, tacked on for good measure, because it's the truth. My Gramsci always used to say, I'll show you a picture of Gramsci. My Gramsci used to always say, that's us right there. I was about 11. Backwards hat even back then, right? My Gramsci, he used to say, always tell the truth, and you'll never have to remember what you said. And that's stuck with me. And so the gratitude is honest, and that's it. Yeah, there's a Discord, there's a private Discord group. And that's really great for Mark and Craig and Jay and some of the guys that are in the chat right now. They can tell you about the Discord group. It's kind of just a safe spot for you guys to share videos without them having to be public to the, the world, right? I don't know what that means. Does willful thinker, is that a Mark Twain quote or something? I don't know. That's just what Gramsci used to tell me and Brian when we were little. So, yeah. But yeah, I used to always say that, and it stuck with me. Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's where he got it then. Yeah. We were, he used to always say another one too. Let me ask you this: if this is a Mark Twain quote, he used to say, "The truth will stand when the world's on fire," and I always thought that was a good one too. You can't. Here, talk about girlfriends and boyfriends and whatever was going on at school at the time. Gramsci would always say, well, there's three sides to it. There's his side, there's her side, and the truth. Just all that kind of stuff. That was, what kind of inspired me to name the record Truth and Lie. It was kind of a lot of stuff in there. Made that right, made it feel honest, right? So that's today's hang. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you Woodshed Patreon members tomorrow night, which will be Wednesday. I'm going to finish editing out the Steel Panther video, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'll show you I played this rowdy monster on it, so that was a lot of fun. You guys will get no shortage of shred licks in that one. Yeah, the Discord is on Patreon under the $10 tier and higher. So everyone at that tier and higher out gets access to the Discord. And if you have any problems on there, just chime in. And we've got a beautiful community, a lot of people that are really friendly and great dudes that love to help each other out. And it's been amazing to watch the community grow, and not only in size, but in everybody's playing. It just seems like everybody just keeps leveling up. It seems like just the community and the hang it keeps people inspired, and it's pushed me to level up too. So, with that said, we will see you guys next time. Be blessed.